Hi guys, I'm Jonathan with Farmer's Friend. Today we're going to be showing you how to install our single zipper end wall. When you open the box, you'll see the end wall panel is nicely folded up. And then in the box, you'll also find a bag that includes an instruction pamphlet, some bungee cords, which is used for holding the door open for venting, and then some brace bands. You'll also find the spring wire, which is used to attach the end wall to the wire lock around the end of your bow. This is a pretty simple installation, but there are a few tools that we'll need. So you'll need a hammer, a couple pairs of pliers, and this is for being able to bend the brace bands open. You'll need scissors for trimming off the excess fabric, and then you'll need an 8-foot ladder to be able to get up to the peak of your tunnel safely to install the wire lock. The first step that we're going to do is to use our pliers to bend these brace bands open. And the reason for this is because you can't get them over the bow easily unless you open them up a little bit. Now that we've opened these up, we're going to come over here to the side of the tunnel, and what we need to do is hammer this in underneath your wire lock base. So I'm looking for a spot where I don't have any screws. I've got one here, and then my next one's up here a little ways. So I'm going to hammer it in right here, and you just put that right between the bow and your wire lock and just tap it. And it kind of bends your base channel up off your bow a little bit, and that brace band is able to slide under, just like so. So kind of position it to where it's not turned towards the plastic where it could puncture it, and also you don't want it turned all the way out where it could puncture the end wall. So you want it kind of facing in like a 45-degree angle towards the inside of your tunnel. So now you can just kind of squeeze that shut, and then we're gonna put our bolt and nut here to hold that closed. Now I'm just gonna take my pliers and just tighten this up a little bit. It doesn't have to be super tight, just like that. So now that we've got that one done, we're gonna go to the other side and do the exact same thing. All right. Our next step is gonna be to roll out this end wall panel. So just roll it out over the front of your tunnel. And you want to center it up as best you can. Now that we've got this folded out, we have to try to identify the orientation. What we want is this part of the zipper where you have these two flaps of plastic kind of covering the zipper. That's the part that we want facing out of the tunnel. And so that is the bottom part there. So what we need to do is try to find the top. Now that I have it unfolded and oriented to where it needs to just go up like this, what I'm going to do is realign it, try to get it recentered in the tunnel. Now that I have it roughly centered, what I'm going to do is take my ladder and position it close to the end bow here so that I can lift this up and be able to reach the peak of my bow. I'm just going to grab one section of wire lock and then just grab the top edge of the tunnel. You can also kind of reference your center off of where the zipper is. On the single zipper, the zipper is right in the center of the tunnel. So what I'm doing is I'm lifting the end panel all the way up here over the top bow. Now I also know this is a 16-foot tunnel with lift kit, and so I'm not going to have a whole lot of extra down there at the bottom. So what I'm doing is just rolling this over the top of the bow by just a couple inches, and then I am going to install a little bit of the wire lock just to hold this up and keep it from falling down, just like that. What you want to be looking for is having the bottom of this end panel right at the ground level or a little bit flared out. So now that I have this positioned where I have my pocket kind of flared out on the ground like this, which means that I have it lifted up as high as I need to, and I have it rolled around the edge of the bow slightly, I'm going to take my wire lock and start putting it into the channel here just a little bit. Again, I don't want to do too much because I don't have it fully positioned yet, but I just want to do a little bit just so it holds it in position. And then we're going to go over to the other side of the tunnel and work on our orientation. So now I'm going to take the left side of the panel and pull it around the bow. And again, I want to get this pocket resting kind of flat on the ground at the bottom. And I have a few inches kind of coming around this side of the bow. Again, this is a 16-foot wide tunnel. And so this is the widest one we make. There's not a whole lot of extra fabric, but I've got about 3 inches, which should be perfect. And then I'm just gonna start installing this to lock it in on this side. Okay, now that we have it locked in on both sides and we have the height adjusted how we want to across the bottom, again with that pocket flared out and laying flat on the ground, I'm gonna go back up the ladder, and the first thing I've got to do up here is actually undo that little section of wire lock that I did. The reason for that is I need to lift this up just a little bit. So now that I have it lifted up tight, I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall the wire lock. And this time it'll be in for good. And I'm gonna just work my way down on the right side and then come back and work myself down on the left side. And as I do that, I'm just gonna be pulling this panel around the edge of the bow and trying to hold it tight to get the creases out as I go. The next step is going to be to trim the plastic. I'm going to cut back about 4 inches. You don't want to cut it all the way up against your channel. And another thing that's worth mentioning is that we've installed this end panel on top of our roof plastic, and that's all right, but if you do think that you're going to be replacing your roof plastic, or if the tunnel is a little bit more of a permanent installation, I would recommend removing your roof plastic, installing your end panels, and then putting the roof plastic back in. It's a little bit of an extra step, but it could save you a bit of a headache factor in the future where you're wanting to replace your roof plastic and then you have to take your end panel off to do that. So anyways, that's just what we did here, but you may want to think about that as you make a decision about how you want to do it for your tunnel. So just going to trim this all the way up and over the top of the tunnel, and be careful not to puncture your roof while you're at it. Now we have this end wall fully installed. I'm just going to show a couple things. There is a pocket at the bottom here, and this is the right size for an 1 3/8 tube. If you want to put that through, that'll weight it down, but it also is going to make it more difficult to vent this style of an end wall. So for venting, you just zip it up as far as you can reach. So now we're just going to kind of roll it up off to the side here. And once we get it bunched up, you'll attach the bungee cord on the inside on that brace band that we installed at the beginning, and then it can just loop around. And normally you would hook it to the rope that comes down right here, but for this one we're going to just hook it right on the channel, and that just keeps it open for ventilation. And we can do the same thing on the other side. So that completes the installation of our single zipper end wall. If you have any questions, please reach out and check out our website to see our growing selection of tools and supplies.